Your sibling was your first roommate, your first rival, and probably your first lawyer. And you didn't pick any of it. You shared a bathroom, a bedroom in a lot of cases, and one television that had maybe 5 channels on a good day. You fought over what to watch. You fought over who sat where. You fought over nothing. And somewhere in all that fighting, without anyone telling you this was happening, you were learning how to deal with people for the rest of your life. Nobody sat you down and said, here's how to share, here's how to negotiate, here's how to survive someone who drives you absolutely crazy. Your sibling did that, and they did it for free. My name is Frank, and today we're going into something that most Gen X content completely skips over. Not the childhood you had, the person you shared it with.
Think about what your childhood actually looked like from the outside. Your parents were boomers, and boomers were the most divorced generation in American history up to that point. The divorce rate peaked in the late 1970s and early 1980s, right in the middle of when you were growing up. And when a marriage ended back then, it didn't look like it does now. By the mid-1970s, fewer than a handful of states had any joint custody law on the books at all. California didn't pass one until 1979. That meant when a divorce happened, one parent got the kids, the other one, usually the father, often just disappeared from the picture. Not always, but a lot of the time. So now picture it. Mom working, dad either gone or rarely home, and 2 or 3 kids in the house left to figure it out. Who do you think those kids turn to? Each other.
Here's something that gets overlooked about growing up Gen X. You didn't have distractions to run away to. No phone in your pocket, no algorithm feeding you videos until your brain went numb. You had one screen, one remote, and whoever else lived in your house. A parent who grew up the same way described it like this, and a lot of people recognized exactly what she meant. You complained, you negotiated, you formed alliances, and without realizing it, you were building your first lessons in how to get along with people. That one TV wasn't just entertainment, it was training. You learned that you couldn't always get what you wanted. You learned that if you wanted something, you had to make a case for it. And you learned that if your sibling got to pick the show tonight, they were going to owe you one. Gen X invented the debt system before they could spell debt. Now here's the part that actually shaped how you and your sibling worked together. Studies tracking generational shifts in outdoor time consistently show that today's kids spend roughly half the time outside that children did in 1980s. Half. That means back then, the 2 of you, or the 3 of you, or however many there were, had hours every day with nothing to do but figure it out. You had to agree on the game. You had to pick teams. You had to decide what the rules were, and then argue about whether someone broke the rules. This is what psychologists call unstructured peer interaction, but you just called it Tuesday. That kind of time together, where there's no adult calling the plays, is actually where the sibling bond gets forged. Not at some organized family event, not at a birthday party with planned activities. Out back, unsupervised, with nothing to do but be with each other. Research consistently shows that siblings who spent high amounts of unstructured time together in childhood had stronger emotional connections as adults. Not always closer relationships, but deeper ones. The kind where you can not talk to each other for 6 months and pick right back up. Now, let's talk about something nobody really names, but if you were an older Gen X sibling, you lived it. You became the parent before you were ready to be one. If your mom worked late, somebody had to make sure your little brother ate something. If your parents split, somebody had to hold it together while the house was falling apart. That somebody was you, not because you volunteered, because there was nobody else. Researchers call this parentification. When a child takes on the emotional or physical job of a parent before they're old enough to handle it. And it was common, especially in homes where divorce had happened, or where both parents were working and barely present. Studies on sibling dynamics in divorced families found that older siblings regularly stepped in as caretakers, protecting younger ones from the arguments, handling chores so there wouldn't be conflict, acting as a buffer between the chaos and the younger kids who were just trying to get through the day. Now, here's the complicated part. The younger sibling, the one being protected, didn't always see it as protection. Sometimes they just thought the older one was bossy. Sometimes they pushed back hard. Sometimes they called it overprotective. And the older sibling? They were doing their best with nothing. No manual, no training, just the knowledge that someone had to hold things together. A lot of Gen X adults reading this right now are the younger sibling who didn't fully appreciate what their older brother or sister was carrying. And a lot of you are the older sibling who never got a thank you for it. Both of those things are real, and both of them live in your relationship with your sibling right now, whether you've ever said a word about it or not. Here's something worth sitting with. You and your sibling shared experiences that nobody else in the world was in the room for. The fights your parents had, the quiet after the fights, the nights when dinner was whatever was left in the cabinet, the time you both hid in the same room because the house felt unsafe, the summers that were genuinely completely free. Psychologists call this shared memory, and it's one of the strongest anchors a relationship can have. It's not just that you were both there, it's that you were the only two people who were there for certain moments. No one else gets that reference. No one else laughs at that thing the way you do. No one else knows what the look meant when mom walked in. That stuff doesn't go away just because you're adults now. So where are Gen X siblings now? This is the part that might sting a little. A 2025 YouGov poll found that 24% of American adults are currently estranged from a sibling. That's 1 in 4 people. And the number one reason? Personality conflicts. Not a crime, not a betrayal, just two people who grew up in the same chaos, dealt with it differently, and somewhere along the road stopped finding their way back to each other. The same sibling who once hid with you during a fight. The same one who ate cereal with you at midnight when the fridge was empty. The same one you weaponized TV static against. Yes, people did that. Don't act like you don't know what that means. Somewhere between then and now, some of those relationships ran out of thread. Here's what all the research actually points to when you look at it together. The Gen X sibling bond was not built in easy conditions. It was built in the back seat of a car on a long drive with no entertainment. It was built in a house where adults were going through things and you two were just trying to survive it. It was built in all those hours outside, making up games, deciding the rules, breaking the rules, and starting over. Research shows that close sibling relationships protect against depression, lower anxiety, and help people weather hard life events better. The people who had a warm bond with a brother or sister as kids carry something into adulthood that cannot be replicated, not by a therapist, not by a best friend, not by anyone. Because nobody else was there. Nobody else knows what the house sounded like. Nobody else shares the same mix of memories, the ugly ones, the funny ones, the ones you've never told anyone. You didn't choose them. You didn't have to like them every day. You probably still have at least one argument you never resolved. But if you still have them in your life, even imperfectly, even with distance, even with all the history between you, that's not nothing. That's actually a lot. Thanks for watching. What is your relationship with your sibling like currently? Let me know in the comments below. Check out one of the videos on the screen next. I'll see you there.